All right, everybody. Well, welcome. This is the week 1 Go to Training. As I mentioned before, my name is John Morton. I'm one of the many instructors here at Full Sail who teach psychology of play. I think there's actually 14 of us altogether. There's a lot of people because so many people are taking the class each month. There's a lot of us who teach the class. So if I'm not the instructor that you're working with this month, you're still in the right place. This is the right spot. So welcome. I'm glad everybody's here. Hope everybody is excited. Psychology of play is a really fun class. To teach, at least from my perspective, I really enjoy it. I haven't gone through the course as a student, but I have sat in through several of my peers' courses. I'll sit and watch as they teach, go through that. And I think the class is really fun. I think it's a great way to kind of get up to speed. I know probably everyone just came out of creative presentation, which is awesome. It's a great way to kind of make sure that the skill sets that we're looking for as we move forward are being developed. And I think that we continue to develop those skill sets, but we also want to instill some practices. We want to say, hey, here are some habits that can form, that can become practices, that can become, the way that you do work, school, education, your careers. We want to kind of pave the path for those things. If those disciplines can start now, I think that everyone really has, a leg up on everyone else they deal with. If you can start working on, great habits and develop great behaviors and have those as practices in your life, it really puts you at an advantage. So I hope everyone will kind of take that mindset and approach as we move forward and through the class. I'm sure there's inevitably some people we have conversations day one where we say, is this a psychology class about video games, or is this about plays? Is this a theater class? And I'll say we're kind of, no is the answer to both of those questions. First of all, but what we really do in psychology of play is we take a step back. We want to address maybe some of the mindsets that we have about play as an idea. We've probably grown up in a world that said, hey, don't play, get serious, get a job, be successful, make money, some version of that. And what we really examine here is the importance of play, as a social construct, how people who play, animals who play, so on and so forth. Play as in fun play, like play games, enjoy yourself, do the things that you like to do. Mario. So play as in fun time. Yeah, it's absolutely what we're talking about. It's really the building block for a lot of our social mechanisms, and there's a lot of importance that we see in play. There's been a lot of research that's been done that basically say, when young people play, when adults play, they're more productive, they get more work done. I can attest to it. That's kind of where we start. Victoria, I should have read the course description. I thought it was like how people are affected by stories. Yeah, no. This is something slightly different. It's okay. It's day one. I know everyone's just coming off of Memorial Day holiday, so no worries. We have a good time in this class. That's part of it. We look at the practices that make us productive, but play is a big one. There's other things that we're going to do. It's not all play, but play is kind of the basis that we build from. It's a real big foundational part of our social construct as humans. Yes, Mario, exactly. That you are not alone. Almost inevitably, someone else says, I thought this was about Broadway plays or stuff like that. Or the psychology of a video game. One or the other. It comes up a lot. So you're in good company. But right, so we're going to look at play as a foundation where we can go from there. Inevitably, if I don't clarify that, people will get halfway through my lecture and they'll be like, I thought this was about this. and then the rest of the class will admit that they also thought it was about something else. And it's just easier to just clear the air right at the beginning of class. You're lots of other people. I appreciate you being bold and being the one to put yourself out there and say, I thought it was this. So thank you for doing that. But yeah, I like to clarify for everyone kind of what we're doing. But right, so we examine play. We look at that. We look at some other practices that we can get into that are going to help us be successful. We build a weekly plan each week that addresses several areas of our life. We'll go through that a little bit more in depth as we move forward. But just kind of as a opening, we just want to introduce everyone today. Victoria, everyone is confused. Exactly. Everyone at some level says, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. So everyone is absolutely in the right place. So we're going to look at where we're going, what this class is going to be like, what the month has in store for us. And I think this is a really great time to start developing the habits, the good habits that are going to allow us to be successful in our education and in our careers. It's never too early to develop good practices in life. I'm sure a lot of you have them already from previous experience, but this is another place where we kind of officially go through and say, hey, here's some stuff you might want to look at. If you're not doing these things already in your life, maybe you ought to be, or at least maybe we should consider them. I think everyone's probably initially somewhat familiar with the online platform. I think everyone's used it already in creative presentation. Please correct me if I'm wrong about any of these things. But I think everyone probably has some sort of visual that looks similar to this, where you have week 1. The thing I'll just kind of point out first and foremost, because it's important and it's a due date for tonight. And I apologize. This is a schedule from November. But we have 2 assignments that are due tonight. So just kind of keep that in mind. The activity 1.1 Essentials E3 pre-assessment is due tonight, Tuesday, May 29th. So it's a pretty quick assessment. It doesn't take a super long time, but it is due tonight. It is the very first assignment. It's due tonight, as well as the weekly plan. Victoria's already done with that. You're on the ball. I'm glad to hear it. I felt the need to finish it last night. That's cool. I'm glad. I appreciate that. Right, the second one, right, the weekly plan. That, like I was mentioning before. Oh, awesome! Wow, this is great. If lots of people are on the ball, excellent. I'm glad to hear that. But right, those 2 assignments are going to be due tonight. Just wanted to float that out there right at the beginning in case you're thinking, okay, what do I need to get done by the end of today? Those 2 assignments are it. I think everyone probably knows this again from creative presentation, but Full Sail works on Eastern time. So we're in Eastern Daylight Time right now, which means we're at 2:09 p.m. right now. So in the next 10 hours, these assignments have to be, they're due in 9 hours and 50 minutes within that time frame. Just as a reminder, we work off of East Coast time, so keep that in mind when you're submitting assignments. If you live in a different time zone, a lot of times people think, oh, I've got until midnight, and you do if you live on the East Coast. But if you don't, just something to think about. Okay, Victoria says, awesome. It converts it to Pacific Standard Time for you. Awesome, cool. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. So right, everyone should have an assignment like the online platform should look something like this. So those 2 assignments are due tonight. We'll go through them a little bit more in depth. Our readings, I would always recommend doing the readings. Am I going to go over 1.3? Yes, the weekly plan. I will go over that. Absolutely. I have slides that deal with it directly a little bit further on, so I'll go through it as we get to that. The readings, I'd recommend doing them, reading them each week, making sure you have a full understanding of them. The thing about the readings is that the brain teaser questions, it's a quiz. We go back and forth with our naming conventions of it. It's called a brain teaser, but it's a test. It's an assessment. It's multiple choice. It's all pulled directly from the readings. So, and it's open book. So please use your readings. Read them first, and then take the assessment. I believe the assessment stays open for about 24 hours is as long as you can take it. So make sure that you're aware of that. Yeah, I'm glad you've been enjoying the readings. That's awesome to hear. But yeah, we just want to make sure that we get those readings done ahead of the assessment because they're directly related. Additionally, the discussion board. It is. I think this may actually be incorrect, and my apologies. This is an old slide. Yeah, the initial discussion board is actually due on Thursday. This is old, so please forgive me. Discussion board is due Thursday night. Yes, Mario. The quizzes are open book all month long, and they're all weekly. They're not. There's no cumulative at the end. It's weekly readings and a weekly quiz. And they don't compound week over week. So it's just going to be a quiz, yeah, based on the stuff from the week. I think that what the real takeaways from this class, in my experience and everything that I've talked to people about, we're working on developing good practices, good habits, good behaviors. The quizzes are there as markers to make sure that we're reading the readings and we're absorbing them and we're taking them in. I think that everyone who genuinely engages in this class, does the work, receives the feedback that they get, and responds to it, and does and the future work that you're doing based on that feedback, I think everyone should be successful in the class. I've never had anyone who did all those things, who submitted all their assignments and took the feedback I gave them, that didn't pass. So I'll say that. I really look at the broad picture as the takeaways from this class. Something that you may have heard referred to as soft skills. So you got your hard skills. I know how to program. I can write. I can code in Java. That's a hard skill. And a soft skill is I'm good at developing a schedule for myself each week. It's maybe something that we wouldn't have put on a resume, but it's good practices that we implement in our lives. So that's kind of that's how I look at and feel about the class. I think that those skills are super important. I could say, hey, memorize these people and these names and these psychological principles, but I don't think that's going to be nearly as useful to you as developing, great habits initially at this point in your educations. So right, that's what each week is going to look like. We'll have readings, discussion, brain teaser. There's a bonus material each week. It's a bonus. It's extra. You don't have to do it, but it's there if you want to go learn a little bit more, dig a little bit deeper. That's what the bonus material is there for. I'd love to have everybody read it and go through it, and it's great. But if you can't make the time, I understand. I won't take it personally, and you won't be docked points for not doing the bonus material. I think everyone at every point in life can always work on developing great habits. So I think that it's important for everyone. So right out of the gate, we'll go into that weekly plan. So this is activity 1.3, the weekly plan. This is a great example of what I would be looking for out of a weekly plan for someone, and you can put in things that make sense to you. So we're going to be going through 4 areas. We have work, play, fit, and push. And so work, the work category, responsibilities, anything that falls into, stuff that needs to get done that doesn't necessarily fall into the other categories. So homework is a big one. Your actual job can be there. Chores around the house, kind of errands that you need to run, things like that. Any of the responsibilities that you have throughout the week. Those are the things that we're going to be looking at in work. I recommend people actually putting all of your assignments into this. Each assignment literally just, Tuesday you can have, I'm going to submit my weekly plan and I'm going to do the E3 assessment. So just kind of day by day, what does each day look like for you? I realized that, yesterday, you can put the things maybe that you did already. I realized that you can't plan necessarily for, plan for yesterday. But you could maybe put the things that you did. Go through each day, put the things that you're going to do, that you're planning on doing, that you'd like to do. To answer your question on the template I downloaded, it's Fit Wellness. Does that change matter much? No is the short answer. The fit category is we changed the wording to make it a little bit more inclusive. When I say fitness, I mean overall fitness. That can be mental fitness, physical fitness, psychological fitness, anything related to your wellness, health, well-being. So I don't know if that helps answer the question. Okay, a few people. I'm having trouble filling it in. When you say I'm having trouble filling it in, do you mean you're having trouble filling in the physical form itself, or you're having trouble figuring out things to put in each form or put in each spot? The fit and push. You're having trouble filling out the actual form itself, or you're having trouble with coming up with things to write in there? So I'll look for your response. Okay, so for the most, you do the same things every day and then sleep. So what I'll tell you is this, and I'll kind of go back through in play. You can look at this. This schedule. There's things that get repeated in the play section. So it's understandable that you might do the same things for play. I go to the gym 3 days a week, so I'm going to put like 3 days a week I'm going to the gym. You might want to be like kind of more on the specific side, like, on Monday and Wednesday, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do strength training and core workouts. And on Friday, I'm going to do long distance running. That's actually what my gym schedule is like. So, those are the things I'm going to do. Maybe other days I'm going to be working on yoga or meditation or mindfulness practices. There's kind of all sorts of things that we can add in. I would encourage you to be as specific as you can be. If you're like, let's say, you're planning on playing video games. Tell me what video game you're playing. Tell me what, are you doing campaigns? Are you playing online? Are you streaming on Twitch? Kind of get a little bit more in depth with the task itself, and let me know a little bit more specifically what it is that you're doing. Mario says, I'm a schedule and list guy, so my weekly planners will always look the same. Is that okay, or should I try to mix up a bit myself? If you turn in the same, like if literally copied and pasted, I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend trying to be as specific as you can. It's understandable. Like I said, I do the same, I have the same workout days and plans. My exercise routine is exactly the same week after week. So I'm not gonna lie and say, well, I work out on different days or I do different things. I'll write the things I actually do. But I think, as long as you weren't copying and pasting, But right, you don't need to change it for my benefit. But like I think in the work section, it's reasonable to write, I'm going to do these activities. So I'm going to do activity, 1.3, 1.1, 1.6. These are the days I'm going to do my readings, which they're different each week. The numbers are different, so you can put different activities in there. The play activities that you do might be different. And the one thing I'll say, if anyone feels like, oh, I really I don't think I can make time for this. I don't think that it's plausible to do this stuff. Treat this plan as an aspirational plan. So if you had the time, if you could fit in everything that you wanted to do, what would your plan look like? Because realistically, I might not be able to get to every play activity I want because I have small children and their, needs are more important for me than, hitting my play goals every day. So it's totally reasonable that you might not hit every goal, but if you had time, what would each goal look like? That's really what I want this plan to look like when you send it back to me. Yeah, and if whatever the thing that you base your schedule around is okay. If your work schedule is the schedule that kind of dominates everything else, that's fine. If you have a kid schedule and that's what dominates everything else, that's fine. It's okay to work your schedule in around other things. But right, I would like everyone to treat this like, if I was able to do all the things that I wanted to do and wanted to get done and wanted to be able to take care of myself, how would I do all those things? What would they all look like? And the reason that I say that is because even if you don't think you're going to get, you can include your actual job. Even if you don't think you can get to something, having it on the schedule, let's say something comes up and, there's a power outage in the office and the boss says, hey, go home early today. Or some variant of that where you end up with more free time. If you have things on your schedule already, you're like, oh yeah, I wanted to do X, Y, and Z things. I had a couple extra tasks I wanted to do today, which I didn't think I'd be able to do because I thought I was going to be too busy with work. But now it looks like I have more time in my schedule. I've already got things on the table, and I already have things that are set up for me to do. And I can say, oh man, I forgot about this task that I wanted to accomplish, but now I actually have a little bit extra time and I can do it. So I think that it's reasonable to put one or two extra things on for each day, even if you don't think you're going to get to them, because you never know when there'll be a time that you have extra time in your schedule and those things fit in. And it's okay if you don't get to everything. That's fine. I realize that. I don't think everyone's going to get to everything that's on their schedule every day. Totally understandable. I'm not going to grade anyone on whether or not they accomplished all their goals and they did everything they set out to do. But in an ideal world where you maybe had an extra few hours in the day, what would you put in for all these things? The play category is anything that you do for fun. So this can be reading books, playing video games, going out, sports, going out with your friends, whatever is fun for you. Excuse me. You could put, if you want to put, consuming media, Netflix, television, that's fine. Keep it professional, keep it appropriate. So just kind of with that in mind, things that are appropriate to share in public and not going to get you in trouble. That is what we're looking for in that. The fit category, like I was saying before, anything that falls into fitness, wellness, health, well-being, anything that falls into those categories can go into the fit section, the fit and wellness section. So really, it's pretty broad. It's things that you do to take care of yourself. Physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever that looks like in your world, you can put in the fit category. And then the push category. The push category is where we're putting. I answered this question earlier, but I'm one of the instructors. There's multiple people sections in my class. There's multiple sections with different instructors in the go-to training right now. The push section is for anything that we're doing or want to do that's above and beyond our day-to-day routine. So it can really be a lot of different things. Sometimes people are learning something. You have an academic pursuit that is different from your program. Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm here for music, but I really like learning how to do programming, so I'm also programming right now. It can really be any of those things. I'd encourage people not to put classwork related stuff in there. Classwork stuff is really stuff that should go in the work section. So just kind of keep that in mind. Whatever things are above and beyond what your normal expectations of what you'll be doing week to week are. Anywhere where you're really pushing yourself. This could be a social thing. If you are, kind of historically very introverted and want to get out more, want to spend time like meeting new people, doing things like that, that'd be a great place to put it. So kind of use it that way. There are questions at the end of each one of your weekly plans. I'm looking for full paragraph responses to the questions, and the questions will be different each week. So make sure that you download the weekly plan template each week. But that is what the weekly plan should look like. It's what I'd like. Full paragraph responses for the questions. Does anyone have any questions about the weekly plan? Any parts of it? Anything about it? Anything at all? Nope. Okay. If you think of something, is it public? No, it's not. It only goes to your instructor. Your instructor is the only person who's going to see your weekly plan. Yep. So we have our discussion board each week. The discussion board questions have likely been modified at least slightly. But we're going to go through. I'll actually just pull them up for this week to make sure that I have the correct ones. I can read them. Sorry, they won't appear on your screen, but I'm pulling them up on my computer on my side. All right, my apologies. The ones that are here are not the current questions, so I apologize for that, but I am looking at the current ones. Yep, if you have to go to work, that's fine. You can watch the rest of this later on. So the discussion board questions. First one, describe an activity that you find fun. Keep it professional. What do you enjoy most about that activity? How would you talk to others? How would you talk others into trying this activity? So right, again, we go through. We'll go through and we're looking for full paragraph responses to these questions. So, in that 5 to 6 sentences, we really want to know that, we're putting thought into this, and it's something that you find fun. So really just talk me into, whatever it is that you think is fun. What do you like about it? How would others enjoy this? So on and so forth. The second question, identify and define at least 2 concepts from the week 1 reading that you can tie into the activity you described above. So it was probably a good idea to have read the readings at this point. By the time you're making the initial post, you should probably have read the readings and have a good idea of how those tie into the activity. So again, we want to know that you're applying the concepts that you're learning. That's what we're really looking for in this situation. Question number 3, what percentage of your play goals did you complete this week? How did your play impact your week, mood, motivation, self-esteem, relationships, etc.? So kind of where are you at with your weekly plan? What's going on with that? How is that, how does that intersect with the rest of your life? How does it make you feel? How are those things crossing over? Does using your plan, is that a big change for you? Is it not a big change for you? How's it going and how do you feel about it? And the very last one says, upload an image of you engaging in play. So, while you're out, while you're doing fun things, post an image and describe yourself, like describe what's going on in the image. Let us know what you're doing. After that, we're going to respond to our classmates. So using the RISE model for meaningful feedback, which is provided there for you. You can click on it and see what it looks like. Respond to two classmates in between the initial post and Sunday. So you make your initial post by Thursday night. In the time in between Thursday night and Sunday, you're going to want to respond to at least two of your peers. Using the RISE model for giving feedback. And what RISE stands for is reflect, inquire, suggest, and elevate. There we go. There's a picture of it. So make sure that you're answering, so each piece of feedback should address each one of these things: reflect, inquire, suggest, and elevate. So you're probably going to be giving feedback that is at least 4 sentences long to each of your peers who you respond to. So make sure you're hitting those points. And then we have our rubric, which looks like this. And this is how the grade gets broken down. Thoroughly addresses all the questions and meets length requirements. So that is, have you answered all the questions and all the parts of each question? And are you, answering in, 5 or 6 sentence paragraphs? Do you get everything accomplished in that? Provide clear and specific examples and or concepts in the initial post. So, hey, let me know that you've done the readings, that you're reading and applying the course concepts in this. This is, there's a couple of ways to demonstrate that you understand something. The quiz is one way for you to do that, but it's really yes or no kind of either the answer to this or you don't. And this is a place where you can say, hey, I do know I know what I'm talking about. I read these things and I'd like to discuss them at length. So that's really what we're looking for when we ask people to provide clear and specific examples of the course concepts in their initial post. It's worth a pretty good section of the grade. It's worth 35%, which is the largest portion of all of these. So make sure that you're definitely hitting those points. Respond to at least 2 peers using the RISE model for giving feedback. It's 20% of the grade. Grammar and spelling is worth 5%. And meets the initial post deadline of Thursday, which means you made your initial post by Thursday. If you didn't make your initial post by Thursday, still make your initial post. Make it, and you can respond to a third peer, so one additional peer, and you can earn those 10 points back. If you miss the deadline, you can still make the post. If you only respond to 2 people, you'd be docked 10 points for not meeting that initial deadline. But if you make it after the deadline, you can also just respond to an additional peer, and you can earn all the points. So you can still get 100. Better late than never, right? Yeah, absolutely. My thing I'll say about this, when it comes to late work, never ask someone if you can submit late work. Just submit it. I have a script that I deliver to my students on a regular basis when they ask me, can they submit late work? The policy of the class is that my policy, what I should say, is that there's a 10 point per day deduction for late work unless a student's able to provide documentation of extenuating circumstances. So let's say, you had to have surgery, you went into labor, something crazy happened, you were in a car accident, your house burns down, which I hope doesn't happen to anyone. But if something happens and you can show me, hey, here's what happened to me. I had this situation. Here's my documents. I'm happy to make something work. I would say, hey, I get it. Life happens. But if you're just saying, hey, I was irresponsible and I didn't do this on time, that's understandable. I realize it. We forget, things happen. It's not the end of the world. Just submit the work. You'll probably lose some points for it being late, but it's better than nothing. The real thing about it is that you might ask if you can submit late work, and I'll say, yeah, sure, you can submit late work. But if you don't get that day and submit it, and you end up submitting it the next day, it's another 10 points that you've lost. So, I'd tell everyone that if you have something and you forget to submit it on time, submit it in the feedback section of that assignment, just there at the bottom. Submit the feedback. Submit in the feedback section. As an instructor, I'll say it's much easier for me to say, okay, sure, I'll take this and I'll grade it. If it's already there in front of me, and I think that I've talked to other instructors who I work with, and they say, yeah, when it's already there, it's really hard to say no to. But when someone says, hey, I didn't do this, can I do it now? You give someone the opportunity to say no to you. But if the work is there, you've already submitted it, you set yourself up for success that way. So kind of keep that in mind when you're now in my class and moving forward. If something doesn't get turned in on time, just submit it anyway. Does anyone have any questions about the discussion board or the feedback or the grading rubric, anything like that? Is that all pretty clear to everybody? Yes, you do have a question, or yes, it's pretty clear. Kyle says it's all clear. Ashley, I think you're saying it's all clear. All good. Cool. Wonderful. Excellent. That is my goal. Fantastic. Yeah, Victoria, you're probably right. Upload an image of yourself engaging in play, and all I can imagine is a bunch of selfies. There's probably going to be a lot of people sending in selfies. That's okay. I realize it. As long as you're, it's not an inappropriate picture. Everyone should be good. But yeah, whatever it is that you use your fun activity. If you're, hey, this is me and I'm playing video games, or, hey, this is me out for a run. Whatever it is, that's fine. I think it's a lot more fun to kind of take a picture and share your play activity than it is to just describe it to people. Sometimes it's a description with a photo is good. Storm, you're right. You don't want to know why you have to put be appropriate in there. Yes, there you go. You can use your imagination. But yeah, professionalism, that's a big part of this course. I think everyone should just kind of have that in the back of their head. Remember, we all start with 100% in our professionalism. It only goes down if we're terribly unprofessional, or late work. Late work is the other one that you lose professionalism points for. Assignments not submitted or assignments submitted late can reflect on your professionalism grade. So just kind of keep that in mind. Professionalism is worth 10% of your overall grade for the class. So just keep that in mind as you move forward. Check your email, your actual messages on FSO. The Full Sail Online platform has a messaging feature. If you haven't already, go and check the settings that you have it set to. Sometimes it's the settings are a little bit weird. Sometimes it's the thing that happens, I think that sometimes people get the settings set in a way that they see every time anyone posts anything ever, and they say, oh, I don't want to read all this, blah, 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 this is too much. You can set the settings, and the way I have it set is that when anyone sends me, puts something in their feedback, I can see that when they send feedback to me. I get it, I can open it, and whenever people message me, I see that in my email. Messages in the Connect page. But right, just make sure that your settings that you have your messages set for on the Full Sail Online platform, make sure that they're in a way so that you can see feedback and you can see messages from your instructors and from your peers. Because I'll communicate with people through the messages on FSO and also through the feedback section. You'll submit assignments and I will post grades and feedback in the feedback section. So kind of just keep that in mind when you're moving through the class. So that's most of the housekeeping stuff. I know it's it's a little bit it's kind of, we got to slog through it. It's the very first day. I realized it's not what's super fun for everybody, but now we get to talk about play a little bit more. I appreciate you all bearing with me through that. I know that part of it is it's super important, so I'm glad that everyone paid attention. But I realize it's not the most fun. Now we get to talk about fun things. What brought everyone here? And you can jump in, chat. Victoria, you're ready. You have your beach ball and your pail and your spade. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, what brought everyone here? I have a feeling it's that you have, something that you're deeply passionate about, and you probably, a life change, yeah. Being customer service for too long, I understand that. Music, I want to do something more. Absolutely. Hating retail, sure, I get that. I've done my time in retail. I understand. Chance to become a better person. How to enter the entertainment business, networking opportunities, self-growth, better life for you and your kids. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Pursue my dream in game design. Awesome. Discipline myself to finish my goals, help people of the world learn self-love. Yeah, that's great. Following dreams, creativity, a career, my son, playing games all day, chasing passion, needing credentials for it. Yeah, realizing my passions weren't changing to fit what the world wants. Compliance. Right? Yeah. Okay. So everyone has something that they feel pretty strong about. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. It sounds like we have really that everyone's really passionate about it, which is excellent. For me, my education, not that anyone is interested, but I'll tell you, is in social work. I have my bachelor's and master's degrees in social work, clinical social work, because I really like seeing people's lives transformed. I like meeting people where they are, and I like helping them get where they want to be. And I really look at my month that I have, the 4 weeks that we have together, as my opportunity to do that to the best of my ability with each of you. I like to say, hey, where are we? Where are we right now? Here and now, where are we? And what can we do to prepare ourselves for the life that we want to be living? That's we've got 4 weeks together, so it's that's my aim in all this. Prepare everyone, give you the best tool set I can in the time we have, so that way you can take that and use that to be successful moving forward. I've been at Full Sail for just over 5 years. I've been teaching for 2 of them. I did academic advising for 2 of them, and I started as a receptionist answering the phones. So if you ever call into Full Sail, make sure you're nice to the receptionists. Their job is tough, and they're really nice, and they want to be helpful. But yeah, everyone comes here, I think, because they're passionate about something, and they maybe don't understand what the path to that looks like. They say, hey, I've got this great idea. I'm really passionate. I want to do something big. I want to do something daring, but I don't know what it looks like to get there. And you all seem to have a pathway for me, and that's what we want to be doing, is providing a pathway for students to achieve their goals. I think it's important to look at things in a broad perspective. Everyone gets into very, very specific degree programs here. Everyone, you get into your specialized tracks, and you kind of get siloed off. I think it's important to, before that happens, kind of look and say, hey, look, everyone, whether or not you're in the same degree programs, can benefit from having some of the same information. And probably can deal with some social networking that will help you later on in the future. It's funny, we have in our music programs, there's I think there's one class called Sound for Games. And you think like every game has sound in it. But historically, a lot of our music students and a lot of our gaming students didn't really cross over that often. And I know some of our recording arts graduates who came through and who are like, yeah, I work entirely in gaming right now. And the crossover's there, but it's a lot of times it's people who we wouldn't ordinarily meet. It's paths that wouldn't ordinarily cross. And just, people, it's when you put the music people and the gaming people next to each other, it's an interesting juxtaposition. But I think it's the type of thing that, when we have that big, melding of all the degree programs together, we really get amazing, interesting, fascinating results. So I think that, while you're here and while you have the opportunity to meet and cross-pollinate with people from other degree programs, it's worthwhile to take that and to look at it and say, hey, what does your program look like? What is that like? Here's what I'm interested in, what I'm doing. But what are you doing? And so, take that opportunity to kind of look and meet and mingle. I think that everyone, some people are thrilled and relieved when we tell them, your SAT scores aren't that important to us. And some people say, oh no, but I worked so hard on my SATs. And it's fine. Either way, what we value and what we look for is creativity and innovation. I think that those things are what's more likely to make you successful than your ability to memorize and repeat things. And I'm not saying that I'm not dissing that memory and repetition. I think that that's, it has its place in academia. There's something, it's important to be able to remember stuff. But it tends to be less of what we're focused on here in our education model. We look a lot more at, hands-on stuff. We look at creative problem solving. We want to see, how people are thinking differently, how they're able to think outside the box, and people's play and play is basically a driver for that. You think about almost any game you play, there's a problem to be solved. That's kind of the whole focus of a game. From board games that you maybe played when you were a kid to, video games to, kind of grown up, more adult board games, to, made up scenarios that you maybe acted out as a child. At all different levels, there was always some sort of issue that needed to be resolved, and that's what makes play fun. There's always something that we want to do. And I think it's important to embrace those things and look and say, hey, look, these are what we want. This is what we want to foster in our students and the people that we're working with. That's why we have play. I think everyone, if you look back at your own life, you probably say, oh, I recognize where a lot of these things come in. Victoria says, I respect those with memories like that. I'm not, that's okay. I think that it might not all be there, front of brain, because it's for a lot of us, it's been a long time since we've gone out and done play activities. It's normal. I think that we all hit this space in our life where we're really focused on, other parts of our life that aren't necessarily play. We're thinking about money. We're thinking about, keeping a roof over our head, things like that. I've got 2 small children. I can definitely relate to that. Fortunately they're there and they want to play a lot. So I don't have to play with them, but I do. Because I want them to be happy and successful people, and I want them to kind of, grow up and feel good. But right, a lot of times it's really easy, especially, kind of when we start getting more and more adult life responsibilities, it's really easy for play to kind of fall on the back burner and to stop being something that we prioritize. And what I will advocate and say in this this course is that it's probably something we should look at a little bit more closely and think about how we're really, how we're addressing it. It's one of these things that, at least for a lot of us as children, was kind of a door opening up. It gave us a window into the outside world. It gave us a way to try out new situations. You think of how many jobs you tried as a kid by pretending that you were having that job, and whether you were a race car driver or a teacher, or I remember always being fascinated at the idea of being a garbage man when I was a kid, because you got to stand on the outside of a truck. I didn't like the whole garbage aspect of it, but the idea of just holding onto a truck seemed like a lot of fun to me as a kid. But think about all the experiences that you had as a. If you can't remember them, that's fine. But there's definitely a lot that play opens us up to. That's really what I'll say about it. Firefighter may have been better. Yeah, no, totally. I was terrified of fires as a child. But yeah, no, totally. They get to stand on the outside of trucks too. I wanted to be a nurse that also worked at McDonald's. I like that. You could just do it all. That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's fun to think about that. Like the ideas that we had when we were younger, what appealed to us and why it seemed that way. Fighter pilot, yeah, Storm, there you go. I mean, fighter pilot's a totally cool job. I get that. And I'm sure there's a lot of things where you who probably pretended to be a fighter pilot a lot. Ballet dancing, none over there. Yeah. I also went through Catholic school, so I get what that's like. But yeah, no, I mean, everyone has these ideas. Yeah. I think everyone has their ideas, and it's fun. It's fun to do when we're kids. We like to kind of go out and pretend and figure it out and say, hey, is this? It's how we dip our toes in the water of life and in the world. Justin wanted to be Chuck Norris in Delta Force. Yeah, I get it. It's fun. Right. We all kind of try out different things through our play activities. As we go through play, there's kind of the qualities of play that we look for. The first one is that play is apparently purposeless. It appears that way, at least for a lot of us. We're doing it for its own sake, is what I mean by that. Sometimes there's games we play with goals, and there's a goal of the game, but really we're out to have a good time. We're out trying to have fun, enjoy ourselves. It's voluntary, so we're not compelled. No one is making us engage in play. It's one of the things that we tend to just be drawn to. Victoria, I still am waiting for my Hogwarts letter. So I don't think I stopped wanting to be a wizard. I've got my Hufflepuff posters up. I'm a proud Hufflepuff. So, but right, plays voluntary. Pokemon trainer there? Yeah, exactly. There's an inherent attraction to play. We see people doing it. We see what's going on. Justice of Slytherin. Yeah, there we go. Everyone kind of you see people playing, you see, something and you want to do it. It's just kind of we're drawn into it. You look at situations and you say, how could I do play in this situation? How could I have fun? Everything becomes a playground. We have a freedom from time that we experience when we play. I think everyone's probably had this, for better or worse, but everyone's probably played something, whether that's you're playing a video game or you're reading a book or you're watching a show or a movie, or you're engaged in something that you really love. and you lose all track of time. I had this happen to me a lot when I was a younger person, and I would play video games at night, and then I would wake up, or that the sun would come up, and I would say, "Uh-oh, I have been playing games for way longer than I planned to. I probably shouldn't be still playing games right now." Time flies when you're having fun. Exactly. That is the idea. Sometimes it flies in a way that gets us in trouble because we don't sleep as much, or sometimes we're late to things. But yes, that's the idea. Is we experience freedom from time. Time tends to just fly by when we're engaged. We also have diminished consciousness of self, and this kind of applies in two ways. The first one is the concept. I'm sure everyone's heard. Dance like nobody's watching. And that's really one of the things I think is important thing to think about and to realize when we're engaged in play. When we're engaged in play, we tend not to really care about the outside world. We say, hey, you know what? We're young. We're having fun. We're doing what we want to do. We love it. If we look silly, that's okay. We're just going to do it anyway. And also a lot of times people forget that they're hungry, or forget that they have, someone might get hurt playing and they might just kind of say, brush that off and I'll be fine. Sometimes they should only, they should just get those things resolved. But again, right. We're kind of thinking a lot less about ourselves when we're in that position. And improvisational potential. So right, we can kind of make up scenarios and situations. We can always be creative in our play. It almost always gives us the opportunity to create and to do something new. It's a huge part of play. Now, there tends to be the continuation desire where, once we start playing, we want to keep playing. Until something else calls us back. I'm sure everyone as a kid at some point probably had that, where you'd play with your friends, or you'd play a game, or you'd do something, and you want to keep doing it until maybe your parents said it's time to eat dinner or go do something else, time to go to bed. Victoria, it's fun to play the imagination game at the playground when the kids are still in school. Yeah. Absolutely. There's a lot of stuff that I think is, we just let your imagination, do the work for you. Yeah, absolutely. And right, the thing about the qualities of play is that they're different from the play personalities, which are going to come up in the second half of our go-to training. Is this something we should start doing? What do you mean, Joshua? You want to elaborate on that? I think you should start playing, if that's the question. Yeah, no, I think if you're not engaging in something that's fun for you, yes, that is something that I think that you should engage in, even if it's just for this month, even if it's just 15 minutes each day, and to satisfy the play activity part of your weekly plan. Cut 15 minutes out of your day and say, I'm going to do something fun for these 15 minutes. Let me know what that's like. I think that it's worth doing, and I think that inevitably, I think we run into stuff where we say, hey, I just don't have time for this, and I get it. Which is why I say, hey, 15 minutes. You can cut 15 minutes out of your day somewhere. There's 15 minutes in there, I'm sure. Start with that. If you don't like it at the end of the month, you can stop doing it. But yeah, I think it's important to engage in play. I think that you'll be surprised with the results. That's really what I'd encourage you to do. I'd say, hey, maybe it seems counterintuitive. I should be, you're asking me to play when I feel like I should be working, or I feel like I should be doing something else. If you have family obligations, get your family to engage in play. If that's in the cards, if play means playing with kids, play with kids. Victoria probably looks like she plays Fortnite. there you go. She can play Fortnite with you if that's something you play. But like I said, qualities of play and play personalities are two separate topics. We're going to come back and talk about play personalities at the end of this. And right, kind of the idea that it's about the journey, not the outcome. This is a process. I realize that some of the steps in the process don't make sense. But you know what? Similarly, you know, if you only show someone one step of the process of making a cake, that step doesn't really look like a cake a lot of time. If you say, you know, mix flour and eggs together, you're like, this doesn't even make sense. Why am I mixing flour and eggs? But if you look at all the other steps that are involved in it, you know, it makes a lot more sense at the end. Adding play into your schedule is only one part of this process. So I think that it's important to look at it, and right, see how that goes for you. That is the end of the first half of our session. I'm going to give everybody a quick 10-minute break. Be back at 10 after with the other half of our section. So feel free to do whatever you need for the next 10 minutes, and then we'll be back. Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's here. You should be able to see my screen. It should say "Welcome to Psychology of Play." Can everybody see it? And hopefully hear me. Oh, okay. We will try again. Let's see. How's that? Anybody? There we go. Okay, wonderful. Sorry about that. Sometimes it takes a minute to get it to click over. But right, we're going to talk a little bit more about play history and play personalities in the second half of our go-to training. I'm still John Morton. That part hasn't changed. So right, we'll talk about play personalities, some of the benefits that we get from playing, and kind of looking at reconnecting with play through play history. So what do we think about play as adults? Is it valuable for us? Is it something that we do, we feel like we should do, we feel bad about doing? Kind of how does everyone relate to play? as a are you making time in your day today to kind of do something? Yeah, just something that's fun. Ash says, I feel bad sometimes. Okay, yeah. There's nothing wrong with being a kid at heart. Okay, it's valuable because you don't get much of it. I'm a big kid, so I love play. All right, mixed bag. A rest break in a day of hard work. Yeah, still just a kid at heart. I like to try to find time to play. Yeah, I think everyone has slightly different ideas about it, and whatever idea you have coming into this class, I'd ask you to suspend it just for the time you're in this class. At the end of it, you can take what you've gotten from this class and make your assessments. But right, for the purposes of our class, we do ask everyone to engage in play, on a daily basis, even if it's just for a short amount of time. My kind of defense of that is that I think there's a lot of value in play that we really haven't as a society acknowledged. When you go through the readings for week 1, I think it comes up. I believe there's a reading. Actually, I know there's a reading because I went back and I rewatched it this morning. But it's in activity 1.5. There's an activity. There's a video in there where they talk about play in, I want to say, in Bulgaria, and basically, years and years of communism, and no fun has made Bulgaria kind of not the place that everyone wants to be. Um, I think that a lot of European countries seem to have kind of gotten on board with this earlier than some of the other countries. But right, they seem to be thinking, hey, you know what? It's important for people to enjoy their life, have fun. There's more important things than work and money and all of that, and people everyone will have their own opinion on that, and it's fine to have your own opinion on it. You know what? Some people spend their whole lives and they think that what's important to them is a financial symbol of their well-being, and I'm not here to take that away from anyone. I'm not here to say money's not important, because that's not my position, first of all. But it's everyone has their own ideas about how they want their life to be. My only real purpose here is to say, hey, it might be helpful to have some level of play in your life, whatever that looks like. I've had students who I've had to say, hey, look, you need to play less because you need to get more work done. So I think that there's a place for everyone in here. Victoria says it'd be great if we had grown-up playgrounds just like those exercise things in Florida. I don't know exactly what exercise things you're talking about. We do exercise a lot in Florida, but not everyone. But some of us do. Josh says it'd be weird if we had grown up playgrounds. I think we do. They're called nightclubs. They're called. I feel like if you've ever been to like a Dave and Buster's type place, it's just Chuck E. Cheese for adults. There are grown up play places. I'm referring to a Vine that has a group of old people playing outside on exercise toys. I'm not sure. Yeah, skate park's a good example. I know in Florida there actually is like adult summer camp, which is just what it sounds like. It's like a camp for adults. But I think there's no counselors. I think that's kind of the difference. But they facilitate all the like activities that people had at camp, and people pay money to go and then do that. So right, there's all sorts of different options. Some people, want to play more, and some people want to play less, and kind of where that fits in is up to the individual. For me, what I really enjoy, play wise, we'll get into it later. So like, I work a lot with plants. I really like working with plants. I collect rare fruit trees, so I spend a ton of time doing that, and it's really fun for me. And there's like a community that I'm involved in, and we do that. But I realize like it also is, some people would say like that's also work. Like, I have a plant nursery, and I really like working with them. And people would say that sounds like a job, and like I guess technically, yeah, it could be part of work, but it's what I'm passionate about. It's what I really like doing. So it's fun for me. Victoria says skate parks, basketball courts, all great, but it'd be great if we could just climb around and get into our monkey instincts. Has anyone ever been to the Children's Museum in St. Louis that's more of just an adult playground? I have not been to that, but that sounds interesting. I think that there's a lot of places that get set up for adults to play. But yeah, something like that. Good point. If you have the opportunity, go to St. Louis and check out this museum. They have a 10-story slide. That's impressive. So I think that we have this idea between, play and being serious. What's important, what's not important. I think that we think that we have to be one or the other. We can be playful or we can be serious. And I'd venture to say that I think there's room for both. I think that a balance is important. I think that, I mean, if I come into my class and I, give you a boring lecture, um, I'll tell you right now, I've given lectures that were not particularly thrilling for people, and I think that they pay a lot more attention when I'm having fun and when we can have fun as a class. People, because right, people pick up on how you feel and what you're doing, and I think there's people who should probably be more serious. If you're filing, if you're applying for a home loan, it's probably a mostly serious situation. You probably, if the loan officer was, making jokes, it might be not your favorite thing. Maybe it would be. Maybe you'd really enjoy getting loans from that person. I don't know. But right, kind of the balance between play and seriousness is I think an important thing to look at. I encourage everyone to go through and take a play history and think about, how did you play as a child? How does that play relate to what you're doing now and to what you're going to school for? Is what you're doing currently, tied to kind of the things that you wanted to do as a young person? I think for a lot of people that there's probably a link between them. So these are the play personalities I'd mentioned before. We're going to go through them as one at a time, but we'll start with the Joker. I think everyone has met a Joker at some point in their life. Play that pays is what I'm reaching for, Steven says. Yeah, I think that a lot of times you can do that. You can have your work can be a fun place for you. It can be a play place for you. Absolutely. Brandon says he's a joker. Yeah, I think everyone, no, not everyone is a joker, but I think a lot of people are. It's fun. It really is. I think it's fun to tell jokes, play jokes. Some people, are more into practical jokes than others. I think the important thing about being a joker is to know who else appreciates that. Brendan says, competitor in the quiz. Yeah, but you feel like more of a joker. That's fun. That's understandable. For some reason, the picture reminds me of Richie from the adult portion of IT in the original miniseries. I'm not familiar with that, so I couldn't say. But right, I think everyone's met somebody who really does, who enjoys, kind of always joking around, having a good time. Oh, yep. Still, I haven't seen that. Stephen King's It. Yes, I follow. No, haven't seen it. Terrified of scary things, so I'm not a scary movie person. Because they're terrifying, and I like to sleep. Yeah, it works out for me. And then people are like, I really like scary stuff. I'm like, that is. Oh, I'm happy for you. I love that you love scary things. I'm like, I get terrified easily. My coworkers will tell you I startle very easily. So sometimes people will walk up close to my desk and I will not notice, and then I will get terrified. I'm easy to startle. They think it's funny. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it is not. We have the Explorer. I think this is a fun one. Kyle says you can find the joke in most things. Yeah, I think that's fun. I think there's definitely a space to be to enjoy everything and to find the humor in a lot of situations. Victoria, yeah, it does seem like the horror movies don't exist in the universe of horror movies. The Explorer is another one. I think this is one that a lot of times we look at it through one very specific lens. We say, oh, well, travel, and inevitably we're college students, so we probably don't have a ton of travel money. And it's if we do, great, awesome, totally fun travel in life. I think the Explorer really goes further than that, though. I think that we can explore through all sorts of other avenues. I think we can explore mentally. We can explore with books. We can explore imaginary worlds. I think about. I don't have time to get into a conversation about it because I'm sure that a lot of people will inevitably chime in. I really enjoyed the game Red Dead Redemption, and I'm looking very, very forward to the sequel coming out later on this year. But the world that you got to explore, yeah, right? Like everybody, yes, it's a really fun game. Like I'm on board. But right, just the world you get to explore. Like, I loved going out and visiting places and seeing what was out there. Sometimes you find cactuses and sometimes you find wild animals, and like, I don't know, it was just like, it's really fun to go out and to explore, an imaginary world. It's not real, but it was a lot of fun for me. I think that, similarly, I get lost sometimes. I'll sit on Google Earth and I'll look and I'll say, like, inevitably I want to find islands. I'm like, what's the smallest island? Does anyone live on this island? I don't know. Like, I like knowing, about what's out there. So we don't always have to physically, pick up and go. The explorer can mean so many things. A lot of that exploration can be imaginary. We have the kinesthete. This is someone who tends to really enjoy kind of, play that involves body movements, whether this is, physical activity or dance. A lot of times people like, sports, anything that really has us moving our bodies and getting up and getting out and doing things. That is the meaning of kinesthetic. We have the competitor. And the competitor a lot of times is similar to the kinesthete, but where what draws someone into a kinesthetic play is that they love getting out and doing stuff. It might be someone who just loves to run, like they love getting out and being physical. And the competitor is loves the competition more than they love a physical activity. So it could be anything. It could be they want to play cards, they want to flip coins, they want to race bikes. Whatever it is, the competition is what draws them versus the movements, or whatever else they're doing. They'll compete at almost anything. I have a slight competitive streak in me. I am, okay at competitive things, but I'd in a lot of cases rather, kind of just work with people than compete against them, which is sometimes available and sometimes isn't, but to each their own. Without a doubt, we have artists at Full Sail. We always do. We always get them. They're always here. They're all of us. I think everyone has an artistic expression. Sometimes that means writing code. Sometimes that means physically drawing pictures. Sometimes it means sculpting. Sometimes 3D modeling. Sometimes it's in the way that we are able to execute business plans. There's an art to everything, and I think that when we find and acknowledge and accept that there is some art mixed into everything else, it's nice. It allows us to have our artistic expression where we say, hey, you know what? My artistic expression might be in, the way that I can coordinate, a project that needs management. I can project manage this thing in this way that really, I feel is artistic, and it probably is. And there's probably a lot of people who don't have that skill and ability. Got a question. Isn't art based on perception? I think that art is definitely based on perception. It's if it's art to you, it's art to you. No one can tell you that your art isn't art. I might try to, but don't listen to them. We have the director. I think this is one that I definitely enjoyed when I was a kid. I really liked setting my toys up in situations. I like to have like a narrative going on. I like there to be things happening, but I didn't really so much like actually going through and playing with my toys and executing what they were doing. But I liked setting them up. I really liked kind of picking how things were going to go and happen. In my head. And I think this is a pretty reasonable thing. I think that a lot of times, someone says, hey, I really like to coordinate the pieces, but I don't so much like to play. Some people would prefer to do coaching work than they would playing, which is understandable. Sometimes we do better when we take a step back and we say, hey, you know what, I can see the big picture here, but I don't really feel like I have, I either don't want to or don't feel like I have, what I need to be one of the players or the characters in this, and I'd rather kind of step back and play to my skills. We have storytellers, and I think everyone everyone tells stories. Oral traditions is kind of what human society seems to be based off of. There's stories about everything. Everyone's got family stories and got histories that they want to tell. I know every family, everyone I've met, has a story that they tell about something that happened, something that was interesting, something that they experienced. It's how we relate to other people and how we relate to the world. I think it's how people, kind of know, like, oh, this person, this is somebody I can get along with. Our stories are what really communicate, who we are and our human nature to one another. I'm a big fan of storytelling. I listen to a lot of storytelling podcasts. It's how I spend some of my time when I'm not otherwise engaged. I listen to the Moth podcast. If anyone's ever looking for a good podcast, it's the Moth, like the insect. Themoth.org. I'd recommend it. I think they have great stories. It's really interesting. It's live stories, like told on stage without notes. So if you're ever looking for something kind of it's a little bit of fun, I'd recommend it. And then The Collector. Inevitably everyone has a collection. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of people have over the years. Like I was saying before, I collect rare fruit trees. It's a super weird thing to collect, but I really like it. I like the fruit. I like growing trees. Kind of allows me to do a lot of gardening and being outside and spending time, with plants and nature. But yeah, that's how I spend a good amount of my time. I collect and buy and sell and trade with a bunch of people. Is a shelf of bowling balls, I think is what the picture is. I think they're all bowling balls. Oh, you have a shelf that you have a shelf full of bells. Okay, I get you. To answer the question, the rarest fruit tree I have, let me just make sure I spelled it right. It is a tree. It's in the Myrciaria family. Myrciaria guaquiea is how I believe it's pronounced. Basically, you won't find any information about it. You can put it into Google really quick and you get some pictures. It's probably one of the most rare fruit trees I have. It's from Brazil. It makes these small fruits. You find it in Google images pretty quickly. It basically, deforestation in Brazil, and the Brazilian Amazon has meant that its native range has been dramatically reduced. So I have one of those trees, which is pretty rare. But most of the fruit trees that I keep are different varieties of a fruit called jabuticaba, which I'll spell for you there if you want to look that up. It's also a fruit from Brazil, so South American fruits is mostly what I keep. But yeah, I really like them. It's super fun. I have like a bunch of probably like 20 varieties of jabuticaba. It's one of my favorite fruits. It's very tasty. It's a national fruit of Brazil, so if you're ever in Brazil, you'll be able to find them. Other than that, they grow in Florida, California. Some people in Texas keep them. Basically in the South. They're an interesting fruit. But right, they're only going to be in the southern United States. Kind of midway up California, it starts getting harder to grow them. But yeah, that's a big portion of my fruit tree collection. I like them a lot. But I think everyone probably has something that they at some point have collected. It's fun. It's fun to do. It absolutely is. Collecting, buying, selling, trading. I do a lot of that. Oh yeah, hey, if you got knocked out of class, come on back. But yeah, I don't have any coffee beans. I've never grown them before, and you can. But I've never gotten around to it. It's never been something that. Oh, you collect coffee beans? Really interesting. Where do you get your coffee beans from? And do you ever roast them and drink them, or do you just have like these are beans that I collect and then keep like on a shelf? Now that you've captivated our attention, Brandon. Okay, you keep some. They come from Italy. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That seems pretty interesting. Yeah, Tamara. It is. It's super fun. It grows on the trunk of the tree. It's a really cool looking fruit. Okay, and also from Colombia brand. That's cool. Nice. Yeah, coffee comes from a bunch of different places. So I'm sure that. I'm trying to think like there's a lot of places that they grow coffee, and it's useful if you ever do want to drink it. That's fun. So those are our play personalities. I'm sure that everyone probably has found one that they can relate to. Probably, realistically, people are saying, "Oh, yeah, I relate to a few of these things. A lot of these things are things that seem familiar to me." So that's totally normal. It's reasonable that everyone will probably relate to a few of the play personalities. Will we use these play personalities in the course? They'll come up. They'll come up. I think it's more important to just kind of say, oh, hey, I recognize some of these in myself, and maybe I recognize these in others. So kind of being able to identify them, I think, is important. You expected to get artist storyteller, but you got kinesthete instead. That's interesting. I think that probably everyone knows what they really enjoy the most. Maybe from taking a quiz, you kind of were like, oh, I got opened up to some other ideas. You probably still at the end of the day are like, oh, I feel like I engage more in these activities, and that's fine. I don't think that the quizzes are anything you have to say, oh, well, the quiz said this, so I'm this way. But I think they're there to give you some outside perspective. So some of the benefits of play. Play is a really great way to reconnect with people. I think that anytime you have people, maybe just connect initially in the first place. Maybe you meet people. Victoria says, though it seemed a little rigid, there was no stay at home and internet for a holiday. So I think that play connecting all of us is kind of the reason that a lot of times first day of anything, first day of class, first day of orientations, usually there's some sort of play activity, there's some sort of icebreaker, there usually is something fun that people do that connects everyone. It's kind of why I ask for as much class participation as I can get, because I want people to be engaged, I want people to have fun, and I realize that a lot of our first day of class is kind of, hey, here's the housekeeping of things, but we want to know how we're engaged in play, what we're doing, because inevitably once we start talking about what we do for fun and how we play, we realize that we're connected in more ways than we originally thought. Play is a great way to develop creativity, flexibility, learning, creative problem solving. All those things kind of are born out of play. No. Everyone is. I appreciate everyone talking and engaging in class. It makes it a lot more. It makes it more fun, honestly, for me. If I have a group that's engaged, I'd rather talk with everyone than I can deliver the lecture. But it's more fun to have people who I talk to. But all of our creative problem solving, all that stuff starts in play. Anytime you've put together a puzzle, think of all the kind of games that children play, that young people the young people. The adults play these games too. I don't know why I say children, but everyone plays something that is effectively just problem solving. It's learning to be creative. It's learning to do other things. Justin, you are free to be quiet or talk as much as you feel comfortable with. I'm happy to hear from you. It's entirely up to you. Play reduces stress. I think everyone can, for the most part, probably agree with that one. Maybe sometimes you get frustrated with something in your play. Maybe there's I remember video games where I couldn't get past something, or I didn't quite understand it. Things like that, but otherwise, I kind of always, was able to kind of relax when I do my play activities, feel a little bit better moving on. Victoria, I think video games do that well, at least when I play a new type of game. Okay, yeah. Stressful rate in WoW. Brittany says, yeah. Okay, there you go. There are examples, but I think that overall people generally probably feel a little bit better after they've played. It's something that they really want to do. Play has certainly taught me perseverance. Like I said, games I've played, levels I couldn't get past, things I wanted to figure out, goals and achievements that I wanted to meet. Yeah, I think everyone has something that they. I feel like I missed the boat on this one on the Leroy Jenkins. I'm not entirely sure. I definitely missed the boat. I do not get the reference. I'm sorry, but apparently everyone else thinks it's hilarious. So I'm glad that everyone's enjoying that. But right. Perseverance. We're all kind of moving forward and pushing on, and play really gives us that ability. It teaches us, not everyone, kind of comes to the table on day one that they're probably not that good at whatever it is that they're doing, whether it's sports or an activity, but you persevere and you get better. And, a lot of times we're bad at things for a while before we start to get good at them. And eventually we get good and it's a lot more satisfying. Play tends to make us happy. Most people probably are not going to play if it doesn't make them happy. If it's not something that you enjoy, it's something that for most of us we do enjoy. We enjoy playing. We enjoy taking some time out and saying, hey, I'm gonna hang out and have a little bit of fun right now. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Victoria, for explaining that in a very concise way. The idea that a little play goes a long way is also a big one. And this is one for everyone who is very busy, who doesn't have a lot of stuff going on. You don't have to play all day. A quick little break, an aside, whatever it is, 15, 20 minutes. Give yourself just enough time to kind of relax, take a breath, reset your brain. It's enough time that you can get refreshed, but you haven't spent your whole day with it. I think 20 minutes is probably a pretty good round number for you give yourself 20 minutes. You can get engaged with something. You can do it. You can have some fun, and then you can go back. Especially if you're pressed for time. I think it's worthwhile. And right, kind of the regenerative properties that you get out of that play will likely carry you much further than you expected. So reconnecting with play, I think that if you have young people in your life, that's a huge way to do it. Hang out with kids. If you have kid brother, children, something like that, nieces and nephews, they're always wanting to play. I feel like they're always looking for something fun to do. So I think that's a great way to get connected. And maybe reframe how you think about play. If it's something that's if play's been a 4-letter word in your life, maybe just kind of reevaluate and say, hey, you know what? It seems like there might be something useful in this play. I think again that reading this a TED talk about the play revolution in Bulgaria. I think it's really worth examining and saying, hey, wow, like these people are getting this interesting result from this experience that they've had. Maybe it's worth doing. So I'd encourage everyone, if you haven't seen that already, or if you're kind of thinking, hey, you know what, I don't think that play is that important for me. I don't really see why we're in this class. Watch the video, see what you think. You don't have to take my word for it. There's science to back it up. There's a lot of other anecdotal evidence. So I'd encourage everyone to kind of check that out. Yes, Victoria, feel free. I would love, you can send that to me. I will watch it and laugh. That would be excellent. So this one's a fun one. It says draw a cup and saucer every day. Or as it says, draw a coffee cup and a saucer. But the idea that you do it every day is what you feel free to post it in here if you have that link readily available. You can just link to it in here. It's fine because probably more people than otherwise would want to see it now. Practice every day is where I'm going with this. When you do something every day, it becomes something that you get better at. If you draw a cup of coffee in a saucer every day for a month, and you look at the progress that you've made from day 1 to day 30, your cup and saucer is going to look a lot better on day 30 than it did on day 1. I think it's really worthwhile to kind of give yourself to the experience for this month of engaging in play and trying to pick up some new practices. It's, you're here already. I realize you might have some other stuff going on in your life, but I think that we've got some interesting and compelling evidence in this course for why play is important. So I'd encourage you all to engage in it for this month. Take a play history if you haven't already, kind of looking back at play. I believe there's a link to this in the readings. But right, think about, how did you play as a child? What was that like for you? What was it like, playing then, and how does that relate to what you're doing now in your life? You're likely to find some interesting connections between the two. Surrounding yourself with playful people is a really good way to add play to your life. If you have friends, friends who play, if you have, opportunities, if opportunities are there for you in your life, maybe take some opportunities that you haven't before to go ahead and do play activities. That's something that we may have shied away from. Maybe we have friends who have a regular game night, or our friends go out for trivia or something like that. And maybe we say, I'm busy, I got this other thing going on. Maybe give them a shot, see what happens. When we're out with people who play, we might feel a little bit different about what we're getting done, what we're doing, and how we feel day in and day out. Pets and children are a couple of the ones who seem always interested in play activities. So if you have a pet, or you have a small child, or like I said, nieces, nephews, kid siblings, play with them, hang out with them, see how they approach the world. Maybe they see things differently than you do. Like I said, I have kids, and we're inevitably out there doing stuff, and I really like watching them explore the world and figure things out. It's pretty interesting to see how how different they view things than how I view them. So Victoria's, yeah, you can Lion King your Chihuahua, absolutely. I feel like everyone who has a small dog, or has ever had a small dog, has held it up in the Lion King fashion at some point. So be careful around ceiling fans. That's where that one gets dangerous. So cautionary note: be aware of ceiling fans. So I think that really the takeaway from this is play something that just as did with this German Shepherd. To be careful, that's a big dog. The takeaways from this is play may be something that we've shied away from, and perhaps is something that's worth re-engaging in. I would advocate for it. The basis of the next 4 weeks is going to be like, hey, play is important and has a place in adult society, and whether or not you believe that is fine, but it might be worth giving it a try. We're going to be talking about it for the whole month, so I think it's worth giving it a shot, even if it's only small portions of your day. There's just a fun picture of a dog. That has nothing to do with the slides. It's just a fun picture that's in this slide deck. Does anyone have any questions? Questions about anything that we've talked about today? Questions about assignments, about anything at all? Free time to ask all the questions. If you don't have questions, you're free to go. I'm not going to add anything else in. I don't have anything else to talk about. But if you have questions, I will answer them. All right. So yes, I'm 7 years old. I imagine as a big dog, but that's fun. I'm glad you enjoy him. All righty. Have a good week. What can you gain from play that you haven't learned already? That is a broad, kind of more abstract thing. What I'd really say where the value is in play is in its restorative properties. So I think that play will allow you to recharge and refresh in a way that doing more work doesn't. I think there are not books that you need. Sorry to answer that question. I'm trying to answer things as they go by and keep reading. So I think that you might find that you can, if you're working on something, you're working on a problem, you've got, a challenge that you're facing and you're really stumped on it. I think that taking a step back from that challenge and giving yourself time to play, to have fun, changes the thinking process enough that when you come back to the challenge that you're faced with, you've got a slightly different perspective, and that different perspective will allow you to address that challenge in a different way. I think that's really where one of the biggest real world applications of how play is useful to you. I think that's how it really comes up. So I think that if I had to pick one thing, or like, here's why you should do it, it's because of that specifically. Dendrika, I hope I didn't butcher your name. My apologies if I did. Yes, we have a weekly plan each week. Justin, I think that was your question. I hope that I answered that to your satisfaction. No, it wasn't, Justin. I said it right. Awesome. That is excellent. I hope that I answered that question to your satisfaction about what we can still get out of play. If I didn't, I'm happy to message you and kind of chat about that at length. Joshua, it was Joshua. I'm sorry. I hope I answered that to your satisfaction. Will play help me in the entertainment business? Yeah, I think that it will. I think that a lot of the times the people that you're going to be interacting with in the entertainment business are people who enjoy playing, are people who like to have fun. So I think that it will absolutely give you a social in with people where you can say, hey, like, what are you into? Like, what do you do for fun? What's something that you really like above and beyond what we're doing here at work? And they're going to tell you, hey, I like to do this. I mean, as an example, I can tell you about one of my friends who is a graduate, who you maybe wouldn't think that we would connect in the same way. But Sean Riggins is his name. He is a graduate from the recording arts program. He works in entertainment. He is the sound engineer for the band Migos, which is easy because it's popular and everyone knows them. He's a great example. But he and I chat about parenthood and flying drones. That's what he really likes to do. That's something that, like, you'd never guess, like, this guy who, produces hip hop music is going to be talking with this other guy about, parenthood and flying drones. And it's kind of that's the kind of stuff where I think that it's the ability to connect with other people above and beyond. And yeah, I think that inevitably somewhere in that business, you're going to be faced with challenging situations. And I think that being able to readjust your perspective through play will be useful. So take that for what it is. I hope that it's helpful to you. Again, if you want to email me and talk about this more, I'm more than happy to sit and shoot emails back and forth with you. My email is jtmorton@fullsail.com. I'll put it in the chat. So feel free to email me if you want to chat about that more. Victoria, I think play will definitely help with novel writing, considering most of my stuff is character-based. I agree with you. I think that there's totally a huge place for play in that, especially, you know, inevitably when blocks come up, when things, you're kind of, oh, I may have written myself into a situation I don't know how to get this person out of, like maybe I can come back from this place, and go out and play, take some time off, relax, come back, and have a totally new idea about how this person is going to extricate themselves from the situation. So totally, I think that play, whether or not it applies directly or indirectly to what we're doing, I think it serves a purpose. There you go. Right. Yeah. If sometimes characters, yes, they meet their demise. Any other questions? If you asked a question, I didn't answer it, my apologies. Laura, you are at a lake. It can be play. It can be fitness. It can be both. It can be either one. Yes. You have a good one as well. Best contact hours. I can be contacted by email. I mean, I answer emails at night. I try not to do it a ton because I've got, children and wife. No, I mean, you will almost definitely get a hold of me quickly in between 10 and 2. Those are the easiest times if you want to set up a phone call with me. But I usually show up in the office around 8 a.m. So if you want to email me, if you have something first thing in the morning, you can email me in the middle of the night and I'll answer it in the morning. Whatever works for you, I suppose, is the real answer. Justin, if you want to set up a time where you want to talk, you can just say, hey, Mr. Morton, here's what my availability. Can you talk during one of these times? And I'll be happy to set up a phone call with you. But otherwise, if you send me an email, I'll email you back almost always within 24 hours. Victoria, does size of push matter? Like, can it be something like just going to a new place? Yeah, absolutely. Totally. It can be anything, really anything that's pushing you outside of your comfort zone. Justin, happy to answer that. Again, I'm happy to chat about anything whenever is convenient. Email is the easiest for me, but if you want to go back and forth, we can do that through email, or you can always call. Happy to hear from you. Anybody else? Questions, comments, concerns? Like I said, if you don't have anything, you're free to go. Oh, thank you, Victoria. I appreciate that.